Well, Mr. John Black, Super Chemist. We're on part 3 of What is Feminism, and we were going to get into modern times. We were talking about in the past, and people could say, hey, feminism, like Christianity. Today, Christianity isn't really Christianity. We cherry picked all the good stuff out of it, and we ignore the evil stuff. Pretend evil isn't in there. Yeah, so we're not really Christians anymore. We have a different ideology. You could say the same thing with feminism. Okay, well, back in the day, it was created by witches who worshipped goddesses, and they want to destroy everything and blah blah blah. But today, we've cherry picked, and today feminism isn't the same feminism. It's a different feminism. It's all about equality. It's not about female supremacy at all. You could say that, okay, but let's just look at some examples from modern times, okay, right? To see if that's the truth or not, okay? There was a study back in the 70s or whatever it was, after the 60s and civil rights and that, saying how women make 70 cents on a dollar compared to men. So every dollar a man makes, a woman only makes 70 cents. And they use this data manipulation. So, the feminazis and the female supremacists or whatever, they remind me of the climate crisis. The data manipulation is just so blatantly in your face. You know what I mean? All you have to do is go look at the data charts, and you'll be like, oh, okay, they're just liars. I'll give you an example because this is true. Men do make. I don't know we're just going to say it's 70 cents on the dollar. I can't remember what it was exactly. But yeah, it is true. Women only make 70 cents on a dollar, but that's cause, it's not because some kind of discrimination, or the same way with the white thing. It's never about discrimination that it isn't happening. It's for other reasons, man. So let's go into an example, okay? So I looked at I forget what kind of doctor it was, but it was a specialized type of doctor, and then it, went into the different specializations of whatever. And each one, each specialized doctor, they put in the females and the males, and they put all the data down, right? So they have equivalent. They're not just comparing doctors to, nurses. You know what I mean? Obviously, you're going to have a difference in whatever. Oh, and I want to bring up first of all this study, okay, it didn't do that. It didn't take categories and stuff. It just took women overall, everyone in America, they took their paycheck, how much they made a year, and all the men, how much they made a year, you know what I mean? And they added it up and divided it by how many women they had and how many men they have to see which one was higher, you know what I mean? And it came out that women made 70 cents compared to men making a dollar, okay? So obviously, if you're going to do that, you're going to have some discrepancies because men usually generally go into high-paying jobs when they go to college. You know what I mean? Women tend to go to socialized positions like a teacher, HR department, social worker, something that deals with people, that doesn't pay as much. So obviously, if you compare all the categories, you're gonna obviously there's gonna be a discrepancy. Okay, first of all, but anyways, so the doctors make 25% more than the, when you just take the doctors and you specialize them. You don't compare a throat and ear guy with a heart surgeon. You don't compare. That's stupid. You don't compare they have to have the same job and the same special, the level of skill and everything else. So when you do that, okay, you find out, and the women tell you, first of all, the first one was skewed, right? Because they're just taking they're taking everyone's. They're not taking into account that men go into higher payer jobs than women. They're not taking that into account. Okay, now, so when they go into the individually, like a heart surgeon, you know what I mean? They make 25% more than women each year. So again, they say, Oh, well, see, we did prove it. It's even more than, it's 25%. That's a lot. But then when you look at the data, right, the actual numbers that they write down, you see that those doctors are working 500 more hours than the women, right? And remember, they were making 25% more money, right? But a normal work year is 2,000 hours, 2,080 to be exact. But let's say 2,000 to even it out, right? 500 is 25% of 2,000. So if the woman works 2,000 hours and the man works 2,000 hours plus 25% of that, which would be 500 hours, he's working 25% more than she is. And magically it comes out that, they make 25% more. Well, why do you think they make 25% more? It's because they freaking... And what's funny is, if they make exactly 25% more and the men are working 25% more, you would think, they make exactly the same amount of money, women. Throw that in their face. Oh, I got something. Throw that back in their face. But that isn't the whole story, okay? Because then I looked into that. That's what most people were saying, right? But then if you look into it, right? No. Because if you just think about it, right? Okay, this was made me look into it even further, was because, no. When you work overtime, you don't get regular time. You get time and a half, okay? And that's for poor people, okay? When you're rich, like let's say you're a doctor, you get double time. There's no such thing as time and a half to a doctor, okay? They get double time, okay? So that 25% extra that they made was all in overtime. So it should be given double. So it should actually be 50%. Men should be actually making 50% more to be even to them when you're talking about an hourly rate, right? So yeah, women. So if you look into the data, women doctors literally get paid more than men doctors. If you look at their hourly pay, yeah, women actually make more than men, okay? Doing the same exact job, okay? Even though they don't put in as many as hours, okay? So it's not even that women make the same as us and they just manipulated the data to make it look like, that 25% more was for nothing when it was really because men work 25% more. It wasn't just that. They manipulated that even more because actually they get double time. So they should have been getting 50%. They should be making 50% more, but they ain't. Why aren't they? Because they don't get paid as much as women. Yes, if you just would have started out looking at, instead of annual salaries, if we all would have just started looking at hourly salaries, we'd be like, women get paid. The reason why it's like affirmative action, you know what I mean? They get a tax deduction for hiring these women, hiring these black people. Then they get a tax deduction, and that's passed on to some of that tax deduction. Is passed on to the the black person or the white person by paying them more. So yeah, that they say it's about equality, but does that sound like it's about equality? That don't sound like equality to me. Sounds like they make more per hour, and then the men have to work all this extra hours. You'd think they would get paid more per hour since they're putting all this overtime in. You know what I mean? But just to mention a couple other reasons why women get paid less than men that have nothing to do with their gender. You know what I mean? Like I mentioned, the overtime. Usually women don't do any overtime. Men do a lot of overtime. Women don't ask for raises as often. They're not as aggressive, so they don't ask for the raise as much as men. Women take off more for sick leave, for having babies, for like a man and a woman. In a lot of these places, both parents have paternity leave, but a man usually doesn't take his paternity leave. The woman does. She usually takes a lot more vacations than the man counterpart. She can't do any hard work compared to a man. You know what I mean? like if you're in construction, she can't do what a man does. But these are a lot of reasons why, you know, women get paid less than men. It's not because they're women. It's because they're doing less work. They're doing less strenuous work. They're not being they don't care about their job as much because they're always taking off for vacations and this and that, and you know what I mean, that kind of thing. Anyways, to prove, you know, just using common sense, why you know that women aren't getting paid less, you know, like 70 cents on a dollar, that's 30% less, man. That's like 1/3. You're getting a discount. Why wouldn't there, like if that was true, I would go out and I would start a business and just hire a whole bunch of women. I would be able to underbid, you know, make stuff for cheaper, because especially if you have a large workforce, if you have 1,000 people or more, imagine that. A 30% discount you can pay. You only have to pay 2/3 of what other companies have to pay for their employees. You would just start a company with all women. Put all your competitors out of business. But that doesn't happen. Why doesn't it happen? Because women get paid, actually get more pay. They get paid more than men. That's for damn sure. You can see the doctors. They definitely, any kind of thing where they're not normally going into that field, they get paid more through affirmative action. Okay. I used to work at a factory, right? A chemical factory. They had a couple mixers up on the top, and they'd get bags of charcoal, you know, red iron oxide or this or that, and they would stack them up, cut them up, and put them into this hole that led into a big mixer, right? And the mixer would mix it up, and then, you know, augers would carry it out, and you'd have a bagger, right? All she had to do was pick up a little bag and hold it like this and step on a pedal, and 2 clamps would come and hold the bag. And then she would just wait. When the bag filled up, the bag fell down onto the conveyor belt and moved on. So her entire job was to pick up a bag, move it over here, you know, so it was onto the funnel, you know what I mean, and press a foot brake thingy to clamp the bag on. That was her whole. That's all she did. Then you have the next woman, right? The bag comes by, it's open. They have to get it and kind of, you know, crease that in and have it so it's nice and smooth, right? Because they're going to put it through a sewing machine. So that's all they do. They get the bag top and, you know, flush, make it nice and flush, and direct it through to once it goes into the sewing machine, you can just go like that and follow it, and then you're done. That's her job. Then you have, keep in mind, the people that are mixing the stuff up, right? They have to pick bags up, big 50, 100-pound bags off of the pallet, put it onto the floor, stack them up as many as they need, cut them, pick them up and shake them to get all the stuff out, and then move on to the next chemical until they've got all the chemicals in there. You know, it wasn't just picking a bag up, an empty bag, and putting it over here and going like this with your foot. All right? Then at the end you have a man, not a woman, stacking. You have to pick the bag up and go like this so that it flattens out, or just punch it down like that so it's flat. Pick it up, take it over or you pick it up first, take it over and put it on a pallet and, you know, flatten it out. But you figure, you're going like this, yeah, the first 2-3 bags. But after that, you got to start walking around the pallet, right? And walk around, get at it, come back, and you're doing. So I'm walking 3 feet every time I get 3 to 6 feet. You know, sometimes 12 feet, because if you walk all the way around the pallet, that's like 5 feet, and another 5 back, that's 10 feet every bag. And I got to, you know, shake it or pound it to make it nice and flat. And all these women have to do is we all got paid the same money, though. We all got the same paycheck. Yeah. That's not equality, okay? And in the whole plant, where do they put all the women? They put them at the bagging and the sewing. Where do they put all the men? Oh, every job where you got to do a whole bunch of work that's heavy, picking up stuff all day long, and yet you get paid the same as the bagger woman and the sewing women. That's what equality is. Sounds like female supremacy to me.